voted for Clinton, but the idea that I could talk to them as freely as I felt this conversation was going is emblematic to me of why the Democrats lose the election.
That acknowledges male-female distinctions. What a concept, right?
Oh, of course.
I mean,
of all the low-lying fruit that the Democrats just like hand the Republicans to win elections, that's the one.
You know, the modern left. It's an attempt always to intimidate people into not ever doing it again. It's to silence yourselves or we'll do it for you. That's the purpose of this op-ed, so that the next comedian or the next person on the American...
Larry David tried to come for Bill Maher over his meeting with Trump, but it's completely backfiring. What started as a simple jab has now spiraled into a full-blown reckoning. And honestly, it's not looking good for Larry. Bill isn't. Backing down, in fact, he's doubling down, standing firm on everything he said, and going even harder at the woke wing of the Democratic Party. What's really turning heads is that conservative voices like Scott Jennings and Charlie Kirk are now backing Maher, praising his honesty and calling out the left's selective outrage. This is one of those moments that makes it crystal clear. The narrative is shifting fast, and not in the direction the left was hoping for.
Trump, every episode he has, literally every single episode, and says very nasty things. In fact, one of the things Trump was so happy about when I saw him after my Bill Maher appearance was how much I gave it to him. I got right back in his face because Bill was saying terrible things about Trump when Trump was watching it, thinking this is very irritating. Every night he's out there. That's not enough for Larry David. You have to hate him in your heart. You have to always act like you hate him.
It must be all-encompassing.
Telegraph that he's Adolf.
That's exactly.
Yes.
Keep going. Yes, that's exactly right.
Yes, and then Larry David reportedly, Cheryl Hines, RFKJ's wife, works on that show. She played his wife and now his ex-wife on that show. And there were rumors, this is not confirmed by me personally, but there were rumors all over the Hollywood press rags that she was getting blowback when he came out and endorsed Trump and when he first threw his hat into the political ring at all because, wasn't going to hurt Joe Biden or Kamala Harris when he was running as a Dem because that could help Trump and God forbid. And that Cheryl had to be sure to play it right down the middle. Oh, that's just my husband. That's not me. Kind of having to disavow her husband because she's on Larry David's show. These people are sick. They're sick. I talk about this all the time. For 17 years, I lived on the Upper West Side of Manhattan. I did not have a friend who was a conservative. My friends at Fox, yes, but no one in my neighborhood or from my kids' schools, nobody. They were all leftists. If you made politics the stakes of your relationship, you were going to have zero friends in where I lived on the Upper West. It was just the most convenient place to get my kids into school and for me to work at Fox. What kind of a freak is like this, where you can't privately have your own views, like in the case of Cheryl Hines, or publicly be one of Trump's chief antagonists, but have one night where you try to see his humanity? That's all Bill Maher did. Such a risk that Bill Maher could be co-opted, that he actually could, as I said, in 4 years, vote MAGA, that they have to start training him now. He's got to be beaten and demonized and get the full Adolf treatment.
I totally agree, but I think Bill Maher's got a little Joe Rogan in him. I think he's gonna only go closer to team reality. I think he's not going to be bullied. I think the more you antagonize him, he kind of says the F you. I get that kind of energy from him. Very similarly, where they're going to push.
This is exactly what's happening now. Even after that Oval Office dinner, Bill Maher made it crystal clear he wasn't there to switch sides. He was observing, taking it all in, and genuinely surprised by what he saw. He even said point blank that nothing from that night changed his beliefs. But that wasn't enough for the woke mob. Nope, they're still losing their minds. Not because Maher flipped, but because he dared to sit with Trump and speak the truth out loud. That alone was enough to send them spiraling into full-blown meltdown mode.
I'd never seen him laugh in public, but he does, including at himself. And it's not fake. Believe me, as a comedian of 40 years, I know a fake laugh when I hear it. And I thank you for them. Example, in the Oval Office, he was showing me the portraits of presidents, and he pointed to Reagan and said, in all seriousness, the best thing about him, his hair. I said, well, there was also that whole bringing down communism thing, waiting for the button next to the Diet Coke button to get pushed and I go through the trap door. But no, he laughed, he got it. Look, I get it. It doesn't matter who he is at a private dinner with a comedian. It matters who he is on the world stage. I'm just taking as a positive that this person exists, because everything I've ever not liked about him was, I swear to God, absent, at least on this night with this guy. I never felt I had to walk on eggshells around him. And honestly, I voted for Clinton and Obama, but I would never feel comfortable talking to them the way I was able to talk with Donald Trump. That's just how it went down. Make of it what you will. Me, I feel it's emblematic of why the Democrats are so unpopular these days.
This right here is exactly why they keep doubling down on their nonsense. If you haven't noticed yet, their whole playbook is about silencing anyone who dares to speak the truth about Trump. But in doing so, they're not winning hearts. They're just pushing themselves further away from common sense and the everyday. Americans who are finally waking up to the game. It's self-destruction in real time.
All right, first of all, I totally agree. He's totally in the right to do it, and I loved his monologue. Even though I disagree with most everything he believes politically, he was right to do this and he was right to speak out about it. But this isn't about that dinner. It's about the next one, because this is the modern left. It's an attempt always to intimidate people into not ever doing it again. It's to silence yourselves, or we'll do it for you. That's the purpose of this op-ed, so that the next comedian or the next person on the American left chooses not to speak to Donald Trump. This is all an effort to get people not to do what you just said, which is to talk to each other in our political.
Is exactly the kind of mindset more people need to adopt. Bill Maher didn't flinch. He walked into that dinner with full confidence, met the moment head on, and dismantled every weak argument they threw his way. The way he broke down the difference between himself and the woke mob, that was the mic drop. It wasn't about switching sides. It was about standing firm in reality.
Difference between himself and the woke mob, that said it all.
Jihadis that want to kill me, the purple-haired jihadis, the woke guys.
Well,
So
they kill me. They want to kill me just as bad.
probably.
Oh, they really do.
No, you've been very outspoken on the woke stuff. Big time.
Oh, yes. I mean, and they, just the way within a religion, they hate their own apostates more. I would say they hate me more, because I'm supposed to like get on the short bus to Crazy Town with them, and I won't. And yet I'm still a liberal, and still, like, you know, I mean, we probably could argue all day about Donald Trump and what he's doing, which I'm not down with. But, you know, it's always the people who are closest who think, oh gosh, you shouldn't have, you're a traitor somehow.
I was going to ask, is it because they thought you were one of them and that...
I am one of them. They're not one of me. I'm okay. It's the liberals who have...
So they've left you, not you left.
Yeah, well, I
think
feel like there's... Liberal and woke are two completely different things. It was the theme of my last stand-up special that I just did a few months ago. And it's basically... I mean, it wasn't the whole special, of course, but it was a large part of it devoted to that, to proving that case that, you know, what liberals believe, woke is something completely different. It's very often the opposite of it. You know, liberalism is, let's live in a colorblind society. That's the goal. Woke's goal is, we see race everywhere.
Race obsession.
Yes. Okay. So that's not liberal. You changed. Liberal is, there are two-state solution. Woke is river to the sea. Okay. So just don't take my word and say you're that. You took this and took it to, you got off the F train, you fell asleep, and you got off the 20 stops too far, and don't blame me.
The wokies appreciated what Bill Maher did, but that didn't slow him down. Instead of backing off, he doubled down, exposing their insanity with even more truth. He made it crystal clear he's not here to please them. He's here to speak the truth, no matter how uncomfortable it makes them.
As freely as I felt this conversation was going is emblematic to me of why the Democrats lose the elections, because they just don't feel that this is like a real person. And I know it's so weird to say that about Donald Trump, who I've said a jillion times is, you know, a whiny little bitch. I mean, I could go through my greatest hits of like insults, but this was about getting past that and maybe seeing that if we met in person, we don't hate each other as much, and we don't. And I'm sorry, I'm not gonna like pretend that's a bad thing.
Winter Vend yet. The Democrats still haven't done their homework. They've never stopped to ask themselves why they actually lost the election. Despite Bill Maher calling out the truth, no one on the left seems ready to listen. The wokies just keep spinning in circles, trapped in their own echo chamber.
On the spiritual religious stuff. But when you spoke against the woke, that for me was a proving moment. And I have to say something, and this is 100% true. You had more moral courage than pastors that I know that went along with the woke crazy train. And you deserve credit for that because it was of high cost.
Until we get rid of that shit, they're never going to win another election.
I agree. They're not going to take political advice from me.
No, but they might from me.
They could.
And
they should.
Not the 10%, but that's 10%.
But they're very loud.
They're very loud, but that's it. And I, as FDR once said, I welcome their hatred because first of all, they have no integrity. They don't ever present the full argument. They just cherry pick. I mean, everybody does it to everybody. So I'm not saying I'm unique here, but that is part of the problem of our discourse is that everybody just wants to forward their narrative. No one is really interested in the full truth, just the truth.
Is exactly what you should expect from someone with common sense speaking the truth fearlessly. Let me know what you think of Bill Maher in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe. More truth is coming your way.